Imagine for a moment that you could unlock a completely different level of energy and focus,
Hmm.
not by adding more to your life, but maybe by, strategically subtracting.
That's a really interesting way to put it. And it connects directly to this Ggod Body Blueprint that you shared.
Right. They wanted to dive straight into its core ideas. It seems to focus heavily on liquid fasting and movement as, well, tools for some pretty profound change.
And what's fascinating, I think, right from the start, is how this blueprint presents these things. Liquid fasting, specific movements. It's not just about, like, getting fit.
No.
It really frames them as pathways to mental clarity, maybe even a different kind of inner experience.
Exactly. You brought this to us, and we were immediately struck by that angle, how it presents these not just as, say, physical routines or diet tweaks,
Right.
but as potential keys to mental well-being, emotional balance, maybe even a deeper sense of connection.
So our mission here for this deep dive is really to pull out those key insights for you, the listener.
Yeah, to get the core philosophy, understand the potential benefits, but without getting totally bogged down in all the introductory stuff, we're jumping past the preamble.
Okay, sounds good. So let's start with the Ggod Body liquid fasting. You mentioned it's not just about weight loss.
No, the blueprint really emphasizes that. It calls it a sacred practice, even a spiritual discipline.
Okay, so what's the core idea there? Why sacred?
Well, the thinking seems to be that this type of fasting isn't just about the physical body. By reducing what it calls density.
Density.
Yeah, and it implies it's not just food, but maybe also like attachments, distractions. It creates this kind of window
A window for...
for mental clarity, maybe emotional processing. It's almost like fasting from mental noise, too.
Ah, I see. That ties into the idea of the body as a sacred temple that's mentioned.
Exactly. So engaging in a liquid fast becomes this conscious act, an intentional gift of renewal to yourself.
Which does resonate with fasting practices in many older traditions, right? As a way to heighten awareness or connect spiritually.
Definitely. Now, on a more biological level, the blueprint talks quite a bit about autophagy.
Right, autophagy. What's the key takeaway on that?
Okay, so think of autophagy as your body's internal cleanup crew. It's a natural process.
Yeah.
Your body breaks down and recycles damaged cells. And the powerful thing is, fasting is apparently a major trigger for this.
So it kicks off this cellular spring cleaning.
Pretty much. And that's linked to potential benefits like longevity, better cell function. It's activating this innate repair system.
So it's framed more as activation, not just deprivation. That's a key distinction.
Absolutely. It's about tapping into the body's own intelligence.
And practically speaking, how does the Ggod Body liquid fast compare to, say, water fasting or intermittent fasting?
Well, the blueprint acknowledges water fasting is potent for detox, but, the lack of nutrients can be tough.
Sure.
Intermittent fasting is more cyclical. This Ggod Body approach seems to aim for sustained nourishment through liquids, nutrient-dense ones.
Ah, so trying to get the cleansing benefits while still providing, like, essential building blocks for body and mind.
That seems to be the goal, yeah, a kind of balance, intentional nourishment in liquid form.
Okay. Now, the blueprint makes a distinction between digestion and absorption. Why is that important here?
Right, that was interesting. Digestion is the breaking down part, right? So your body can use the food.
And absorption is the actual uptake, getting the nutrients into your system.
Exactly. So with liquid fasting, the idea is you dramatically reduce the energy spent on digestion because liquids are already, well, simpler.
Okay, less work breaking things down.
Yeah. And that saved energy can then go towards other things like that autophagy cleanup or mental clarity.
And the blueprint also suggested something about liquids having, like, broader contact with the gut lining.
Yeah, that's a cool analogy, like pouring water into a sponge versus dropping a rock on it. The liquid touches more surface area.
Okay, so potentially leading to more efficient nutrient uptake.
That's the idea. Less digestive effort, maybe better absorption, and more energy freed up.
Makes sense. And what about gut health specifically?
Well, giving your digestive system that break, it can be really beneficial. Allows the gut lining to rest, maybe repair itself.
Could reduce inflammation too, I imagine.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And it might help rebalance your gut microbiome, all those important bacteria. Like hitting a reset button for your gut.
Okay. Now, the blueprint mentions different durations, like a 10-day and even a 42-day fast. What's the difference in purpose there?
The 10-day seems positioned as more of an initial detox, a reset, getting those benefits we just talked about.
And the 42-day?
That's presented as a much deeper dive, a bigger commitment, focusing not just on the physical cleansing, but also significant emotional release, maybe even metabolic shifts.
Wow, okay. A much bigger undertaking.
Definitely. And for both, it really stresses gradual preparation. You don't just jump in. And acknowledging the emotional side, the spiritual aspect even.
Right, that holistic preparation. Okay, let's shift gears then. Ggod body training. This isn't just exercise, is it?
No, it's framed very differently. Therapy through movement.
Therapy through movement. What's the core idea behind that?
It seems to be about moving with real intention, integrating your breath, being mindful. The focus is on flow, presence, and movement as healing.
So the benefits go beyond just the physical, like fitness, to mental clarity, stress reduction, emotional balance.
That's exactly the idea. A much more integrated approach than just, counting reps or focusing only on external results.
And it starts with something called pre-athletic movements, or PAM. What are those about?
Think of PAM as like foundational work, preparing your body for more complex stuff by focusing on natural, fluid motion.
So not like a rigid get-ready stance.
No, it seems more about enhancing stability, coordination, getting energy flowing efficiently,
Yeah.
kind of reawakening how your body is naturally meant to move. Helps prevent injuries too, apparently.
Building a solid but mobile foundation.
Okay.
Then there's the Ggod body compass with directions north, south, east, west. How does that work?
It provides a structure for moving in space, often using a stability ball, and there's specific rules about hand contact with the ball.
Ah, so the ball isn't just incidental. The hand contact is key.
Seems like it, yeah. For engaging your core, maintaining balance and stability as you move through these directions, then you add diagonals later.
It sounds very conscious, very controlled,
Yeah.
developing spatial awareness and core strength together.
Right. And the blueprint also really emphasizes rhythm and presence in the movement. It uses this analogy of moving like water.
Like water, so fluid, continuous.
Yeah, nonstop, controlled by breath, kind of instinctive, being really grounded and intentional with every single step or movement.
That's where the therapy aspect probably really comes in, right? Being fully present.
I think so. It sounds almost like a moving meditation rather than just
Sure.
exercise.
Less mind wandering, more body awareness.
Exactly. Now, here's a term that jumped out, quantum tunneling. In the context of training, that sounds unusual.
Yeah, it does. But think of it less like literally passing through a wall
Okay.
and more like shifting your internal state, your tension, your focus, your energy, so that a movement that felt impossible or like a barrier suddenly becomes accessible. It's like finding the right frequency, the right state of being to move through it effortlessly rather than forcing it.
Ah, okay. So it's an analogy for finding flow and ease instead of
Huh.
muscling through limitations. That's interesting.
It is. And the training itself has structure, 4 phases: white, green, blue, and red. Can you give us a quick sense of those?
Sure. White is about foundational posture. Green focuses on basic movement patterns. Blue starts bringing in more complex sequences, maybe some speed.
And red.
Red is described as mastering energy, achieving that peak flow state. So it's a clear progression.
A building process. And the blueprint compares this whole approach to other fitness methods, right? Like Zumba, CrossFit.
Yeah, it does. It positions Ggod body training as offering maybe a more holistic balance.
How so?
Well, it suggests that while something like Zumba is great cardio, it might lack the deep structural progression. CrossFit is intense,
Yeah,
obviously.
it's very intense.
But the blueprint implies Ggod body training has a unique focus on injury prevention, long-term well-being, and that mental clarity piece alongside the physical development. That integrated system seems key.
The stability ball and the compass system really do sound like unique elements.
Yeah. And it also stresses presence versus trying and finding your own natural speed and rhythm.
What does that mean, presence versus trying?
Well, trying often creates tension, right? Resistance.
Yeah.
Presence is more about letting go, just being in the movement as it happens.
Experiencing it rather than forcing it.
Exactly. And finding your own rhythm, guided by your breath, not some external clock, makes it feel more sustainable, more authentic, maybe?
Less external pressure, more internal awareness.
Okay.
And this all builds towards achieving the flow state.
Yeah, it seems to be the pinnacle, yeah. Where the movement feels effortless, even if it's challenging.
Yeah.
You're completely absorbed. Time kind of disappears. That peak engagement.
That elusive state everyone talks about.
Right. And linked to that, the blueprint shifts focus away from just the destination, like finishing the workout towards the journey.
So the training itself becomes a form of moving meditation.
That's the idea. Every moment, every movement, every breath has value in itself, not just as a means to an end.
Okay, now let's get specific for a moment. The Ggod Body Compass footwork notation. It uses directions and numbers for feet.
Yeah, it's quite precise. Like W12.
Okay, what would that mean?
It would mean a step to the west, leading with your left foot, that's the 1, and then bringing your right foot, the 2.
Ah, so 1 is left, 2 is right.
Seems so. And usually with a specific hand maintaining contact with the ball throughout the move. It's like a language for movement.
That level of detail must really force you to focus on coordination and where your body is in space.
I imagine so. And the system isn't just about the movements. It includes stretching and recovery, too.
What's the approach there? Just static stretching?
Actually, no. It emphasizes dynamic stretches, ones that improve flexibility and stability together.
Functional movement. Okay. And recovery.
Breathwork is key, and controlled movements to help muscles recover and prevent injury. It seems pretty well-rounded.
It does. And then there's Ggod body meditation and affirmations mentioned too. How do they fit in?
They seem to directly address the mental and emotional side, tools to cultivate inner calm, body awareness.
And reinforce the core ideas.
Yeah, using focused intention, specific affirmations. It really aims to be a whole system.
A comprehensive approach to well-being. And it wraps up with a parable. Free, the blueprint within.
Right. What's the gist of that story?
Well, the core message seems to be that the potential for this kind of transformation, this freedom, it's already inside us.
The blueprint is within.
Exactly. It highlights things like discipline, overcoming resistance, but also how having a structure like the blueprint itself can help unlock that potential.
So it's about using these practices, the fasting, the movement, the mindset work, to tap into something that's already there.
That seems to be the essence. And the final idea mentioned is this recalibration of energy, moving from being solid to more liquid.
More fluid, adaptable.
Yeah, that fluidity seems key, being able to move through life physically, mentally, with more ease, more resilience, less rigidity.
So as we wrap this up, for you listening, what really stood out as we went through the core of this Ggod Body Blueprint?
What resonated or what questions are maybe still bubbling up?
Because it's clear this isn't being presented as just a diet plan or an exercise routine.
No, it's definitely framed as a pathway towards a more holistic kind of transformation.
The central idea seemed to circle around letting go, shifting your internal energy, and finding that flow state, whether in stillness or movement.
So considering all that, here's maybe a final thought to chew on.
Okay.
What perceived limitations or barriers in your own life might actually be less solid than they seem?
Like that quantum tunneling idea?
Sort of. If you shifted your internal state, your energy, your focus, could you move through them differently? Find a new way forward?
What might shift if we approached obstacles with a more fluid, present state of being? That's a powerful question.
It is.
Well, thank you for sharing this source with us, this Ggod Body Blueprint. It's been fascinating to unpack its core principles.
Definitely given us some interesting things to think about.